PKA. For instance, the one that we have just created, we would transfer it to another person, and immediately the other person from the installer of would go to the disk and would have a plugin in 3D. We have seen the disk chromatopsia, and then it would have a portable view on continents. It could upload it and install it, and it could be available within the show project manager. We would go to portable view, which would be the last one, and the new one. The new one appears. This is the one that we have transferred to another person, which is the one of continent. If that person has uploaded this package, it could appear here, and it could upload and open this view of continents, and here it has duplicated. That's why we have -1. If we have this portable view, we could export to an ordinary view and work with it. If we export view, here we would select the folder where we can export, for instance, portable view. In this case, I'm going to name it portable view 2. If I say select to export, it's not accepting it. Yeah, it's empty. Yeah, portable view 2. That's what is strange. I'm going to create it from scratch. I'm going to create one portable view 2. So then what I did, if I go to the course layer, here, new features, portable view 2, context and layers. I have the layer that includes this portable view, and we would have this exported layer, and we would go to normal view. This would be one of the new things of this last version of gvSIG. Another new thing would be graphs, as we have seen by defecting one of the documents that we have in the project manager. We have graphs based on an attributes table. We can create a pie chart or a bar chart, for example, about the population. We can create a graph, and that chart can also be inserted in our map, in our paper space, with the caption, the north and the scale. We can include this. For instance, we are going to create a graph. Here you have a portable view and continents view, but not the portable one, the ordinary one, 4326. So if you don't have it there directly, then you go to show project manager, and in view you will have it. Here we are. Then what we are going to do is a selection of elements, some specific elements, in order to be with just one part. If we do a graph of the population, that would be an endless one. So we are going to do a small chart. So we are going to do a filter, a selection of elements, in this case the icon, this icon, this one here, selection by attribute, and what we are going to do is that the sub region is south and southeast or southwest of Europe. Here we could do that in two different ways. Either we select that the region is equal to the south, or that the region is equal to east. So then it could select all of them with the goal selection. Another way to select different elements would be, for instance, with the in operator. You will see an operator that probably you have never seen. We are going to use that. Then we see a sub-region, and we are going to add space, and we say in, and then we are going to add everything we want to select. As I mentioned, this could be sub-region, Eastern Europe, or sub-region equal to Southern Europe. If we would have two elements, we'll have to include or all the time. So with this command in, we can select different elements. For instance, we decided to work on the Southern Europe. Double click, and here we have sub-region in, and all the elements that we want to be selected. And then we say a space. We say the Western Europe, and we said that if that element is in the south or western, the software should select them. If we click the next and then we'll have the subregions of Europe. I close here. If I go to the attribute table, which is this button here, I go to subregion, and we will see subregion that all of the south and western Europe are selected, which is that we are going to do now. This selection of element will be exported to a new shape, and with them we'll have to do the population chart. With that selection, we go to layer, and it says export to format 6 because we are going to do only a part of this form. And now we will give you the initial name, and we go to the course folder, and then we decide that this is Europe, and we open it. This is the exit file. We are only going to highlight the selected records, and we export them. This is going to be inserted in the view. We say yes, and we close. And if you see, we are now with this area. The Guyana belongs to France. That's why it appears there. Perhaps you thought that's a little bit strange. And if we open the attribute table, we have to do that previously. If we open the attributes table, we have it here with only those elements. We are going to create a graph with the population of all those elements. As I mentioned, we have to open the attributes table. If not, will not appear in the unfoldable. And then we go to project manager, to graphs, and we say new. You see that that has opened a new graph, and from the 4 buttons that have been created from new, then we see this is the name of the graph what we are going to create, which is a file on populations. So here we are going to have a bar chart, and we say next. Now here it says which is the table that we want. In this case, the one of Europe, because it's small, and if not, we would have a very large chart. So we are going to add the field name, and we want the map to show us the towns and cities. So then here aquí we have a name field because it's the name of the countries. In the I field that would be population. This is pop EST, and that could be the one of the population. And then we go to the next one, and here we can configure colors, different axes, whether we want to label. For instance, in the x-axis, we will add here countries, so that includes countries, and then, for instance, we would rotate text minus 45. We have the y-axis. Here we could have a population, and accept. And finally, we have this graph, which is only the countries of Southern and Eastern Europe. And this graph can be inserted in a map. We can insert this graph. The following, another novelty of the last version, is legend by expressions. This was not in version 2.0 and 2.1, and we didn't want to make a legend for everybody, but would like to put in a specific color the populations higher than 50,000, for instance. Then we close the graph and we go to the 4326 view. We are going to remove the Europe layer, and we stay with complete countries, and we are going to erase the selection, and we provide the icons by expressions. We enter into symbology, and we have expressions in version 2.1 that was not present. We can say that we want to put colors on countries that have a population higher than 50 million inhabitants, and here we have the pop east field higher than, and then we write 50 million, and we give it a color. For instance, this red, which is a bit darker, and the rest, the remaining values in a lighter red. So it has. Then we highlight the remaining values. We change colors. We change the filling, and we have a lighter red. Regarding the other one, we say OK and apply, and with this we have the red color, and we have populations higher than 50 million inhabitants that can be used in order to make a map, a situation map for our community, and then here we are working in Andalusia, and we can make a partial view with name equal to Andalusia, so the color is different from the remaining regions of Spain. That could be, for instance, one of the features. And now we are going to use the new layout in version 2.2. We have a new layout, a document of a map type. We can manage the view as directly from the map. What we had to do is, if we had already created a map with a view, if we wanted to change a symbology, we had to go to the view, change, and then update in the map. Now everything is included in the map. So then we will say project manager, and we go to map, which is the graph exit of our views. If we say new, then we either can do we can use one of those which have already been created, or we want to create a new one. In this case, the size of the printer, and it is created here. To the difference of the previous case, the table of contents of the views appears in the map, and over the layers that we have in our view here in the map. Here we have none of them, and we can add one layer. We have this menu adding layers, and now it appears within the map itself. Then we say add layer, we say add layer, and we are going to go up 2 layers, and you get into Andalusia. And provinces of Andalusia. And here we have this view with the layer that we have created ourselves. And now if we want to create a legend by provinces, you had to go to the view that had been created here, and double click on this map, double click on the layer, we get into properties, symbology, and in the same way as we did with continents, we are going to do one by province. Here you are. We apply OK, and we we didn't update here. It's not updated now. And the legend appears, which is before we had to go to the view, and now we could even change some of the colors. The color of Granada, I want a lighter green with transparency, and it changes, or we want to label. We label, and it appears on the map. That could be the difference with regards to the previous map. We could insert the different elements, images, circles, lines, polygons, graphs, charts, what we have created from Spain before. We could insert it here. North, the legend, for instance, a legend that we could add here. This would be the same as the only layer that we have. It would be equal to the layer that we had in previous view. For those of you who haven't been working with gvSIG, the gv output would be gv to PostScript or print in the printer. This is the main advantage of the new layout, which would be managing the layers directly from the map. I'm going to see time. One of the new things of this new layout is that the grid has been greatly improved. If having the view selected, we say right button properties, here we have the view, no title in this case, then we can show the grid if we want to upload this grid. If we get into configuration, we have more configuration possibilities if compared to the first version. We can better manage the issue of what we want. For instance, if we want dots to be put or if it's directly saying lines or selecting a symbol, they should put a cross in each of the points, and then we could either mark the distance in the different lines, or if, for instance, we do not have knowledge about the dimensions of Andalusia, and we have the option here to use the number of divisions in horizontal. We can say for in horizontal, then it's going to add 4 divisions because we tell him that we want 4 divisions. The one that you have in preferences, this view, in this case, it's view, of course. If you add another view, now we have created a new one. When inserting the new map, this new view, what it has is the reference system, which is in preferences. All the new views that you create, they are going to be created in the same reference system. In my case, was 23030, but perhaps you have 4326. So the only thing would be to get into the properties previously.
Entonces aquí, por ejemplo,
and change that. For instance, this is very useful to be able to change the number of divisions. We know that with 4, the map is going to be readable. If it's not there, we do not know if they are working with us or not. The issue of labels, we can also modify them. In this case, the direction, it was everything horizontal, up and down, and now we can incline them 45 degrees. Here we have rotation, horizontal, for instance, 44 degrees. So this is well, if you give him, if we say okay, it's accepted, and if we say accept, here the horizontal is that one, because we have shifted this 45 degrees, perhaps with 40 degrees would have been better, and those ones are left in horizontal. We could play with this orientation. I think that previously was not possible, and here we have 4 horizontal divisions, and this division in vertical there are only 2 because this is a rectangular map. That's nice, and we do not have to play to see how many lines should we put and so on. This is another novelty. Another one is export to KML. For instance, this allows us For instance, we have a shape in gvSIG. We can export to KML, and we can export it to Google Earth directly. So we are going to see on the same view of 4326, you are going to show project manager, and you will have a view. 4326, another option to move among views is through the window menu, and it appears here. So we go to the 4326, and then we're going to aggregate the states of Mexico. We are going to get it at layer here. Add on, and here we are going to get into Valencia. Here we have the only shape layer, which is Mexico, the states of Mexico. We say okay, and then we see this is in 4326 and the view, and now we are going to export this to KML to be able to show it in Google Earth, and either the layer will export or we can use it. We can use the right button to export. Export to, and now KML, and now KML. Now here we have the option to show the attributes. Here the information is included afterwards, and we include that in KML. And now the healthcare file, and we put Mexico, and then we say open. And for instance, as the name was Mexico, that's why it has open. For instance, it says Mexico KML. It will tell me the extension, and we are going to do all records here. And here we have all registers. No. Now,
Buah. A ver, no pillo. Este sí. Vale, ahora se oye. Vale. Entonces, marcamos todos los registros porque queremos todo.
So then we mark the records because we want the layer, and we say export. Then we say whether we want to insert it in the view, and we close it, and we have it in a KML format. Well, if those of you who have Google Earth, you can open it and then say, and I have it in this Mexico.kml. If I make a double click here, it could open Google Earth, and it makes a zoom to the layer. And I am going to change to right button, properties, style, color, and I have an orange, a red, and a greater thickness. And here we have the KML that we used to have in gvSIG, and if I tick in one of the states, I have the whole information I used to have in the database of the shape file, the original file size. If we have a linear one of a river or a way or a path, then it can follow the utility of Google Earth, and it follows the line itself, and follows a path. For instance, you could see that in an aerial format. We configure Google Earth with the distance and the height of the camera and so on. We could play with those elements. This could be another important utility that was in the initial versions, but you have to edit this by hand, and this is loaded in gvSIG, and one of the main new things in gvSIG version 2 is the unified manager of geoprocesses. We used to have on the one hand the geoprocesses of gvSIG and Sextante, and now we have a unique framework, a unique tool box where we can implement all those processes. We are going to show it to you. We have a project manager. We create a new view, and we have list properties, and you are going to change the reference system. We get into these dots in EPSG by code. Yeah, now it's dangerous. In fact, they are still offering them in 23.030. So in the portal is still in 23.030. And then you say OK. And then you get into Andalusia, and you get into the communications folders and municipalities. Here we have municipalities, and now the unified manager of geoprocesses, the unique toolbar, has this button which is similar to that of adjustments. So on the one hand, we have geoprocesses within gvSIG in vectorial layers, and we have all the ones that gvSIG used to have on one hand, and then we have the ones included in Sextante. In the future, if we include all those of grass and so on, they will be in the same framework of geoprocesses within Sextante. We have influence areas for hydrological analysis. We can calculate basins, a drainage network. We can highlight a dot, a point, and then we could follow the itinerary of water layer, and in order to start polygons, including the generation of digital. We can generate a digital model of the land, and then we can make visibility calculations, lighting, and we can continue with the rest of geoprocesses. As we do not have much time, I'm sure that probably you will know the main geoprocesses from gvSIG, and I'll go to the next novelty, which is Daltonism. The manager, and then we go to municipalities, this view with municipalities. We go to symbology, icons, and in the categories we have unique values, and I'm going to change the color per province. And here we add all of them. The coding effects, we apply this, and okay, this legend, people who are colorblind may see colors which are the same. They cannot make the difference between the different colors, so there is an extension that we have installed, which is this one for transformation of legends. Here you have the different types of color blindness, so then we would select one type or another, for instance like chromatic by tritanopia, and here it says and it makes a preview of the types of colors, and if we apply in present one, this for colorblind people, then that person would be able to make the difference between the different colors, while in the previous color version they would not be able to differentiate some colors. In this same view, we are going to load it, including a new extension for edition. It's much more powerful than the previous version. Different tools have been included, and especially the facility for managing the tools that already existed at the level of user. They are much easier to use. So in this same view, we are going to add layers, and we'll have the layer of the Valencia port. We go up one level, port Valencia 2002. If it's a very heavy layer, we could load it testled, so it's loading it in small tiles, and then we say right bottom zoom to the layer, and we are going to create a new vectorial layer, in this case of polygons view, a new layer. We can only create shape new files, and then here we provide the name for the exit, for the output file. Here we see buildings. Here we have the type of file, whether it's going to be dots, lines, polygons, or multi-dots. So a single register in the database has different possibilities. We add on a new layer, and we say type of the chain type, and we say yeah, he should add this to the agenda. To the difference of the previous layer, this layer is empty, but we can add things, and we start edition. What has changed with regards to previous editions? We have different icons that have changed. For instance, insert polygon. Here, in order to digitalize a polygon, we could have this tool, and the icon has changed, and we would tick on it. The information console is going to help us to digitalize and carry out those operations. In this case, it marks what we should do. For instance, we're going to start and digitalize, and finally right button. And with regards to the previous one, we see that we had different changes, and regarding rotation theme, the difference with the previous one is that now we have to introduce the polygon on which we want to implement this. We may have different elements, and we have to tap intro. In this case, we want to do a rotation. We would mark the rotation center, and that has improved a lot. The angle that we can go around 90 degrees. We write it in the console. One of the main tools at the level of lines, we can extend lines. And this one doesn't appear, but this tool, with the other tools of AutoCAD, we could extend a line up to the next one, and we could also reduce if one line goes over another. We could cut the remaining sector that we don't need. Also, we will include the parallel module. And for instance, one of the most important ones could be that of dividing geometries. It says you have to select geometry, and that has changed. We have to select the tool in order to break geometry. Now we could do an arc or the line. For instance, the line, and we cut, and you will have different elements there. If the two ones that are now a data in the database, then we could gather together different geometries. Probably these are the two more important ones, which have improved a lot the previous version, in addition to the previous one that I mentioned about the lines. Well, what you do, I don't remember if it stays with the last one or leaves both in white. We can check that in a second. Cut geometry. Database.